Boom shakalaka. All right. So, okay. So, man, let's get straight into this. I apologize for the delays. So, without further ado, Chris, thanks for hopping on a Sunday. And why don't you just tell everyone about yourself, kind of quick, brief bio on who you are, what you're doing, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Chris. Bought my first rental in 2008, and kind of did a lot of things wrong, made a lot of mistakes. Didn't really get back into it until 2011, 2012. Bought a few more rentals, kind of got comfortable with that. Got up to 13 units, and then when the market started changing here recently, we started listing those for sale, and kind of started doing some flips.
Sweet. And yeah, so the cool thing is, why I was excited about doing this case study is you came to the breakthrough at the beach event a couple of months ago, and went through that training, and here you are now, gonna make a little coin on this flip. Do you mind sharing just a little bit, what you got out of the beach event?
Yeah, so what prompted me to sign up for the beach event was I was just coming off a big loss for me. I did my first flip, and it didn't really go as planned. So I made some mistakes. So I went and sought out some training. It was kind of, as life happens, or as life would have it, your email for that event came through right about the time I was having trouble with that flip. So signed up, went, and it kind of more clearly defined the basics,
Hmm.
some oversights, some things that I didn't realize were that important. Uh, Became obvious after that weekend with you guys.
Right. Well, I appreciate it, man. And so let's hop into going over this deal you got here. So tell me about, I guess let's start with like how you found the deal. Start with the finding part.
Okay, so we knew we were looking, or I should say, my wife and I were ready to purchase. So we kind of reached out to a couple wholesalers, one that we knew and that we had purchased rentals from in the past, and then uh, we just found another one and scheduled a meeting. Went and sat down with them, told them what we were looking for, the areas we were interested in, and you know, a few months later, the emails started rolling in, and then a few months later, this one, Spring Rock, came through an email. It just it showed up one morning that we were actually on our way to the title company that day to close the sale of a different property. So I went and closed that deal, the sale, while my wife went to Spring Rock to check it out. There were like 10 other people there. It was occupied, so they did the showing, and then everybody, um, made an offer. I think they drew the offers out of a hat or something, and we got the
Mhm.
deal.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like there's all kinds of marketing strategies that investors can do in terms of mailing out postcards and yellow letters and doing pay per click over the internet and putting out bandit signs and all those types of marketing work. Um, but this strategy and what you did is how I basically started in real estate, was just by really more so networking rather than just getting emailed a deal. But the reason I'm assuming that you got emailed that deal was because you have put in some time and effort in networking with that company, and to at least get on their email list, and you're staying active. So this is kind of like one of the fundamentals of just developing relationships with people who find deals for investors. And there's tons of these guys in every community, essentially, across the states, of wholesalers. And I understand in some of the smaller communities, there's not as many. But in big areas like the city of Houston that we live in, there's dozens, if not actually hundreds, of of companies and individuals like this who find deals. So that's sweet, man. So tell me about. I know that I believe you've done one flip deal before, didn't go so well. I think you may have actually took a little bit of a loss on that one.
I still own it. It's a rental
Oh,
now.
that's right. You converted that one to a rental because it wasn't gonna turn a profit. That's right. Uh,
Yeah, we were in a situation where we had to rent it to to get out of it. Essentially, that was our plan B exit. So that's what we did.
yeah, that's right. I apologize. And that's I've been there, done that, man. I've experienced the good and the bad. So I remember the very first flip that I ever did that I lost money on. And I remember that going into the next flip deal, I was extremely scared. I was terrified, from the experience of from the experience of my first one that didn't go so well. So tell me, like, if you had any, like fears or concerns going into this deal, and if any of it was related to the other deal, or just what was your kind of mindset going into this one?
Yeah, so we were extremely conservative with our approach on this one because of the fear. We had some concerns because the last one didn't work out so well. Um, but it caused us to notice things that we wouldn't have otherwise noticed. So both that experience and then the beach event, we realized how important layout is, how important some of the small details are, whereas before we were used to doing rentals where some of that stuff doesn't matter. So we kind of had the wrong type of rehab for our price point on that deal. So we made sure and paid real close attention to the comps, uh, our area. We were a little bit pickier about the deal.
Mm-hmm.
The main fear was just, we had to be okay with renting this if it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to.
Right. Very cool. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Arizona, so I'm shaggy and whatever. Chris and I are on a little business trip, so that I forgot to mention like that. So I'm all tank topping it out and looking a little scraggy. All right, so you did um, what you need to do, which is go over the numbers with the fine tooth comb, so to speak, and make sure everything was good. You felt good about it, but tell me about the next thing, which was the financing, and how did you guys finance this property?
So the wholesaler that sent us this deal required us to use their financing, which is fine. There was actually another offer over ours, or higher than ours, $5,000 higher than our offer, but they weren't committed to using the wholesaler's financing, so we got the deal instead of them. It was they put us in a landlord loan actually because their ARV was a little lower than the appraisal, so it got sweeter as we went along. So we originally entered this deal with the plan to rent it. We were looking for a flip. We went to the showing for a flip, and then right about the time when we were running the numbers, debating on whether to buy or not, we said, well, this isn't really a flip for us. And again, that was that fear coming in that we talked about. So we were so scared to do the flip. We said, well, we like the area, let's rent it, and then maybe we'll put it, we'll test the market when it's time. So anyway, we closed the deal in a rental loan. It was like 8% with 3.5 points. And then the appraisal happened, and it came in $15,000 higher than the wholesaler's ARV. So
Sweet.
at that point, we were like, "Oh man, what do we do? Do we want to flip it? That scares the heck out of us right now." So we kind of put that decision off. I remember talking to you about it. We actually leased or put it for lease on HAR. We put a sign in the yard. Got a call within 30 minutes for lease. And then I talked to you the next morning, and you were like, "Just let the market make that decision for you. Why do you just change your listing on HAR and put it for sale and see what happens." You told me a story about somebody coming in with a cash offer for you, and then like the first day we had it listed for sale, we got a verbal cash offer. And then, 3 or 4 days on market, we actually received the contract cash. It was like we listed it 5K over appraised value, and we got all cash offer for appraised value.
Sweet, man.
So we were pretty happy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, like a couple of things. So you mentioned paying 3.5 points. So for those of you guys out there who aren't uncertain about what that is, that's essentially a 1% fee charged by the lender in order to originate the loan. So if this was a total loan amount of maybe 190 or so, Chris, can't recall.
Yeah, we're paying on 168 right now. Like purchase price was 155. We did about 40K in rehab, and our contract for sale is 240.
All right, sweet. And
So,
yeah, so if the loan was, say, for example, $100,000 and your lender was charging you 3 points, you paid $3,000. Loan
right.
is $200,000 and you're paying 3 points, you're going to pay like $6,000. And like I've heard a lot of investors that always balk, not always, but I've heard a lot of investors who balk at paying the points and say, oh, I'm not going to pay that. That's too much money, or they don't want to pay 12% or 14% interest. They'll say, oh, that's way too much money. Well, I was just at a mastermind in California for the last 2 days before coming here to Arizona, and I was talking to another investor from another part of the country, and he does a lot of his deals paying 5 points with the lender that he's using. It's a different market than we're in, and I had that initial reaction, like in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't pay that. But then I had to come back and remember, what I've talked to you about and other investors and other students about. It's like really the numbers have to make sense, and the numbers. So what is the story that the numbers tell? And if the numbers make sense, then you can proceed on the deal. So that's kind of a cost of doing business, and if that's the financing option that you have and those numbers make sense, my rule is that you proceed with the deal, but you can always look to improve your financing by finding other lenders, maybe small local banks or private lenders to get better financing. But in the meantime, this is what you had and you went forward with it, and very, of course you're very excited and glad that you did, because the deal's working out great. So we'll go over some numbers, like the final numbers. We'll put them up on the screen to let people see in a little bit. So what I want to do now is share a few pictures of what we have. So let me try the screen share again. Give me just 1 second. Oops. Give me just a second. Chris, can you see my screen?
Now I see you, the
Okay.
video. The presentation was up for just a minute.
Okay. Do you see pictures of Spring Rock now?
No.
How about now?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Let me see. How about now?
It looks like you're showing a blank. There we go. We got it. It's the
Sweet.
before picture.
Okay. So, yeah, so let's run through some before pictures of the property. This is it. It's pretty standard home in the used to market. I think it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath,
Yep.
2-car garage. You just can't see it very well right there. Can you still see the screen?
No, it's back to you.
Oh, crap. Okay. Not sure what happened. All right. They want to play that way, then we will, I guess, play that way. Can you see that by chance?
No, it's still on video.
All right, no, I'm going to do, hold on just a second. I apologize to everyone.
That first picture you showed reminded me it was tenant occupied when they left. There was like they left a lot of stuff in the house, so we didn't expect that. That took a few days to clean it up.
Yeah, so that's actually a good a point to bring up is that so sometimes, and so most of the things that I teach about, most of the things that I know about real estate investing, I've unfortunately learned the hard way. And so, anytime there's a property that has a lot of just junk and trash, like for example, we bought a house recently that was a hoarder's house. It was completely filled with stuff.
Wow.
So you make sure that you negotiate or get that in writing to have the all of that, the trash removed, and you can put that in the contract. Say, for example, if it's going to take 2 or 3 loads of trash removal to get the demo done, then you put in, whatever, $1,000 into the contract, a price reduction, or you can give them the option, hey, we won't close and fund until you get all of your belongings out of the house, because it really it can be costly. We paid almost, it was $4,500 to remove all the trash out of a hoarder's house recently. So trash removal is not too easy. All right, so I'm going to try this screen share again. How about now?
Wait one sec. There we go. That's the
Okay.
before photo.
All right, so I'm going to try to flip through some pictures. How about now?
Yep, it's
All
working.
right, sweet. So we'll just go through some pictures. One thing I want to point out is you'll see some miscellaneous orange paint here and there. So that's something that that we do on the renovations. Is we try, when it's easier to communicate when we do walkthroughs with guys, just so there's no misunderstandings, and just there you go again, just marking things that are going to be trash or demo, just to clarify, so there's no mistakes, or okay, so there'll always be mistakes on rehabs, but to try to lessen the mistakes. Pretty standard stuff out here on the exterior. Just want to give them a little bit of an overview. That is not graffiti. I'm not sure what Chris was doing with the paint markings there, but and so here I think we ended up just refacing these cabinet doors and drawers.
Yeah, we kept most of the layout. We didn't really move any walls on this one.
Yeah, and the budget just wasn't there. This was proverbial kind of paint, carpet, countertops, and just general updating, but try not to get into a lot of the heavy lifting there. See, they left some champagne.
That's funny. I never saw that there.
So there's wallpaper and old light fixtures and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to give them a little bit of an overview. The pitch ceilings are always good, like the headers and the beams. Fireplace. Pretty standard, kind of home for the Houston area. So one thing I know, like, you notice this curly trim, that's kind of a pet peeve, or it is a pet peeve. Like, we always, even if we're not replacing the cabinets per se, because I believe these cabinets were in really good shape, we will either cut that off, like we'll have our carpenter cut it off, or we'll cover it up with some other type of trim. And it's kind of hard to see the layout of this bathroom, but you had like a 45 angled wall here in the shower. You can see it in the mirror. It's just kind of a small to medium sized shower, I guess you'd say, in the back corner. But this is our, kind of our bread and butter kind of flip. They're fairly quote unquote simple. I guess that's all the before pictures that I have. And if you can still see my screen.
Yep.
Let me know. Yep.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, so here's the afters. So we used to use a lot of beige paints in our market, but that's going away in terms of popularity, and people are moving towards a little more into the grays. And I guess so that's what you guys decided on the paint color scheme. I guess after consulting with my Chris, I guess this is what you guys came up with. I think it looks a little bit darker in this picture than it actually is.
Yeah,
Um,
it turned out real nice, and yeah, this was a recommendation from Chris. The color scheme based on the budget that we were working with, and we like it. We're happy with it. Turned out nice, and we actually we just had somebody else show it, even though we're in contract. It got shown
yeah.
yesterday, I believe, and the feedback that the agent left was all positive. They said they loved it. Great house. If you have anything else like this, let us know. Too bad we were just too late. So.
Sweet, man. That's good feedback. And like originally, like, so you see, like, for example, the walls and the ceilings are one color, and so we have some investors, who, um, for personally, it's generally like, we'll get in a conversation, and it generally turns out to be like a personal reason, like, I want the ceilings white. I don't want the ceilings to be the same color as the walls, and so we'll discuss that. And so there's a couple different schools of thought. Like, one, so do have some vaulted ceilings here. So in my opinion, it's totally fine and acceptable to just do the walls and ceilings one color if the color's light enough. Um, some people prefer white ceilings, and I get that, but it's usually for personal reasons. So the reason that we like to do the ceilings one color is really, one is we know that it sells, and we base that off of one, our own projects and our customers' projects, but also too, that's what you see in a lot of the new construction homes, and that's kind of one of our strategies, is just to mimic new construction, because they're doing tons of research on marketing and design, and hiring designers and things like that, and they've found it adequate to sell new homes. So that same rule or design rule should also work with Phillips. So that's what we usually do. Now sometimes there's some houses that are have only 8-foot ceilings, and throughout the home with no vaulted ceilings, and if the customer's wanting a darker wall color, then I do agree with that. Like, we'll go ahead and go white ceilings, but it's a little more costly in terms of the labor and whatnot for painting. So that's the kind of the thought process into that. And like, another thing that that I like to point out is we don't really ever, we try not to ever get emotionally attached to any of the decisions with an investment property. We don't want to get attached to any home that we particularly like, or emotionally attached to certainly any of the design decisions. We just try to make everything, a business decision, and what is going to have the biggest return, on our time and our investment with this property, and just try to let, doing what works, what does the market dictating, and just try to follow suit. So there's a more close up of the chimney and the little built-in, and just so everyone watching knows that the floors, the hardwood floors, are actually laminate. Uh, those are laminate floors, and so that's another thing that comes up, is that people ask, when do you use laminate or when do you not use laminate? So for the Texas market, it's different in other areas. But for our market, we use a laminate product that the material is around $2 a square foot, I believe. Maybe a little bit more with the padding and underlayment and everything. Not including any of the materials or stuff like that, and a little shoe mold trim around the edges. But the material itself is not a cheap laminate. I see stuff for 99 cents and all that, and so we don't use cheap laminate. We use kind of somewhere in like a mid-grade laminate, but we definitely don't use the high-end type Pergo, $5 or $6 a square foot type of laminate, and then we use this mid-grade product. And a couple of things: one, it shows really well. We've had success with it, in our projects, but we found that that there is a limit to the market that you can put it into. So in our area, like we'll use it for kind of the entry price point, which is around $125,000 in our market, to definitely to the medium price point, which is around 180 to 200,000, and we've used it up to 300,000, but not. We have not used this in a home above 300,000. We'll go all out and go with the hardwoods above 300,000, but this price point it worked fine. Were you guys happy with the flooring, Chris, with the laminate?
Yeah, yeah, everything turned out great. We liked it, and everybody that's seen it, like I said, the agents and their clients have all had positive feedback.
Hmm. Great, man. We'll usually do little things, like in the master bedroom, we'll provide an upgraded ceiling fan. We'll just spend a few more bucks on the fan on the master than the bedrooms. Um, the shower, you saw the shower. What little trick that we do is, so this border tile is usually, this design piece is usually in a 12 by 12, similar to this,
Yeah.
and so we'll cut it either in half and make it a 6-inch border so we can double the material, or a lot of times it look like this is a 6-inch. Sometimes we'll make it like a 4-inch strip so we can actually get 3 feet out of one piece, and it looks just as nice doing the thinner border piece. Just some pictures of the backyard. There's the front, and not too, to be honest, like incredibly fancy on the landscaping or anything. We try not to spend a lot of money on landscaping. We just go clean and green, and try to make it just nice, clean, and functional. Remove any eyesores. And there's a picture of the backsplash, picture of the granite countertops. The granite countertops are something that, to me is a must. It's something that we do every single time. It's not really an option. Some people, ask if it's okay to do like a Formica type of laminated style countertops, and for us, it's not. We've even done the granite in some of our rentals here lately. Those are the wrong light bulbs in there. It should be the floodlight style bulbs that are flush. Just FYI, I guess the buyers didn't care so much.
Nah, didn't seem to bother them.
Yeah.
We had positive that backsplash. I think is what really sells that kitchen. I
Yeah.
think we went with a mid-grade granite, and then I don't know, wherever you guys put that backsplash, it seems to work. So that's my theory.
Yeah, and then so we use colors we know that work and schemes that work. And this tile, for example, is a tile that we've been using for years. It's a Home Depot tile. It's called Sonora Taupe. One thing notice here is we did have to expand the opening for the oven. So a lot of the older homes have a 24-inch oven and microwave space, and they still manufacture and sell 24-inch ovens and microwaves, but they're very expensive because they're not mass producing them, and so we did have to modify this cabinet to fit a 27-inch oven. And that's just a heads up for some of you guys out there, to make sure you take those measurements when you're, whenever you're planning out your scope for your rehab, because these appliances, the 27 inches is generally actually cheaper than the 24 inch. That's a good thing. You just want to make sure that you have space, because I've seen some 24-inch ovens and like they can't expand anymore. So you will spend maybe even $300, $400, $500 more for a 24-inch than you would for a 27-inch. And even if you don't, you may have to spend some money on rearranging or modifying some cabinets to make sure that those appliances fit. We also put a little granite on the windowsill, just a nice little touch. But yeah, so these are the same cabinets for you guys watching. We added, we refaced the doors to update the look and feel of the home. Chris, was that crown molding new in the kitchen? Okay, so the crown molding was already existing here, but a lot of times we'll add the crown molding in the kitchen cabinets if existing already. I think this is a better representation of kind of what the gray look like, you know. Um, Not too dark, not too light. Another view there. And yeah, so that's it on the pictures. Any thoughts on the rehab, Chris, on your experience? I know that
Yeah.
you worked with us, so it was kind of a turnkey deal.
Yeah, so when we work with you guys, it's more hands off for me than with other experiences I've had. So that's a plus because both my wife and I work full time. What you said earlier about the whole emotional attachment to some of the decisions, like this was the first. That's one of the mistakes I made with the other flip. And then you mentioned that at the beach event, it really kind of hit home with me. You said something about just run the numbers. If the numbers say do the deal, then you do the deal, and that's how you know if you're a real investor or not. So we ran the numbers. They worked. They got better as we progressed through the deal, so we altered our plan. Um, some of the things in there, like the beams in the living room, like if the budget had allowed, we would have maybe, like I personally would have kind of wanted to see those painted a different color, or the chair rail in the kitchen. We may have done some different stuff and painted that white, but like you said, we didn't let the emotional attachment to the deal kind of step in and make those decisions for us. It was like consulting with you and Chris and looking at the budget and saying, well, here's what we can do with these numbers. So that's what we did, and it worked.
Yeah, and so another thing is the type of market that we're in, because it is a seller's market. Um, we don't do everything that we do, in a buyer's market because there's not as much competition, there's not as much inventory out there, and literally in the market that we're in, houses that that are being rehab nice, when those are going on the market, I mean they're generally flying off the market. As if you're doing the due diligence beforehand and making sure that you're buying it, at an acceptable price, have an acceptable budget, and it's in a market where people are looking for homes. And we're fortunate right now, and most of our market is, as quote unquote, there's a lot of hot markets out there, and this was one. So you put it out there on the thing. I mean, it flew off the market. Um, so tell me real quick. So this is something actually that's happening a lot right now, and it's a little bit difficult to say for sure exactly what a value of a home is, to project out, say, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in a really hot market like this. So we've literally this year have bought homes that we've anticipated selling them at a certain price point and sold them for up to 40 or 50,000 more than when we bought them just a few months before. So
Wow.
that was the situation here. So when you bought it, you were looking at selling it for, or you thought about
225.
selling it about 225, and I think you were maybe thinking like this is probably a long-term hold or rental just for cash flow, but things change. So did y'all run comps on that, or did you get your pricing from the appraisal?
So both, the we ran comps on it as well, and determined. We said, well, we'll go 245 on the list and see what happens. It was also listed for lease. We had a couple calls, sort of slow played those, and then the offer came.
Okay, sweet, man. And yeah, so how many how many days was it on the market as for sale until you got the cash offer?
Well, the verbal came the first day.
Okay,
So the agent called and said, "Hey, I'm gonna have a cash offer for you."
sweet.
So that was promising. So we knew, like, okay, we're not gonna do anything until Monday after that weekend.
Hmm.
And then it was about 3 days, maybe four, where we actually had the contract.
Right,
So that was nice.
right. That's awesome, man. And so yeah, I remember we were talking about that. Is like you were thinking about renting it, but you weren't sure.
Mhm.
Like sometimes we have some investments like I'm for sure I'm going to rent this property, or I'm for sure going to flip this property. And then sometimes you're like, I could go either way. And so one of my things is, some people will say, well, you'll pay more money with flip properties. I'm like, that's true. Um, and they say you'll make more money with the rental over the long term. I'm say generally, yeah, I believe that too. That's true. But I have a pet peeve with my rentals, and I don't like vacant properties. So I've got a certain amount of properties that I'm like, hey, these are incredible cash flow properties. They're part of like my long-term wealth building strategy. Is like I'm going to keep these homes, own these homes free and clear for 10, 20, 30 years, and I may never sell these homes. Then I've got some homes, like a lot of our flips, like we go in straight to it as like we're going to flip this home. And then I've got some rentals where I'm like, I'm going to rent this because it's a rental property. And if the tenant wants to extend the lease and stay another year or two, most likely I'm going to do that. But on occasion, we'll have a vacancy come up, and I don't like vacant houses. That is a pet peeve of mine. And so we'll throw out a for sale or for lease sign, start to get in offers or applications, and we'll go with what we feel best about at that time. And if we get a great tenant and we like how that looks, we may go that route. If we get a great offer, we may go that route. And so that was my suggestion was like, put out for sale or for lease, see what comes in. If you get something solid, run your numbers, play with your numbers. If you like it, great. If not, wait for something else. And you just happen to get $240,000 cash offer the first day. So that worked out pretty darn well.
Yeah, yeah, that was nice.
So let me see here. I'm going to try the screen sharing thing one last time. And so here we go. Okay, so I believe these are some numbers. General numbers was purchase price 155.
Yep.
Sales price was 240,000, and repairs. I think this is the anticipated, but probably ended up around 40 or so.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was the initial bid, and then, like I said, right when we got into it, it was, oh, there's two loads of trash that we didn't account for.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're figuring 40.
Probably come out around 40. And when did you buy this property again?
We closed on it July 30th.
Okay, so essentially August. So
It
wow.
was we had the contract was September 30th. So it was like 2 months exactly.
Okay, so you bought it, or you went under contract September, and then you went under contract in September, but you closed in July.
So we purchased in July.
Okay, the end of July.
In very end of July we purchased. Yeah,
Wow, man. So if you close the end of, so it's almost essentially August 1st, so all the month of August,
Mhm.
all of the month of September, today is October 5th.
Yep.
And when are you closing on it?
So we negotiated the close date. That cash offer came in with like a close date of late October, and we pushed that up a couple weeks to the 17th of October. So mid-October, we're set to close.
Dude, that's awesome, man. So this is a screen capture of the flip analyzer. Down here in the gross profit, these are highlighted just because that's standard on our form, because these are the typical months, 4, 5, and 6. These are the general months that that you'll actually realize your profits.
We can't see I can't see the flip analyzer right now.
Oh, you can't see that screen?
I'm seeing the Spring Rock purchase price, sale price, repairs.
Oh, you don't see the next slide?
No.
Okay, it's part of that presentation. It's weird, man.
There it is. There it is.
So you see it now? All right, so I'm just going to leave it with that view. Um, All right, so you can see this here, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a little small, but it's there.
Okay, what if I do this? Can you see it now?
Nothing changed yet, but maybe it's lagging behind. I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right, so well, down at the flip gross profit, there's three fields. The 4, 5, and 6 month fields are highlighted. And they're highlighted only because this is our standard form, and those are the months that 80% of flips you actually realize your profits, which after you buy it, fix it up, put it on the market. And of course, there's some variances. We have projects that go for a year long because they're major, massive additions and development type stuff. And then we have some that come really quick. So you look to be sitting in the 2 month area, so around a $23,000, somewhere between 2 and 3 months. So you're around $23,000 profit. And so going back to the top, just the numbers were is a $240,000 ARV, which is what ended up being the sales price. The purchase price was 155. So I guess you may be a little bit under because I plugged in that 38,650 number for your repairs. So if you
Hmm.
come out at 40,000 repairs,
Yeah.
um, let's see here. That was your loan amount, $193,000. It was 8% interest. So that's about your monthly payment. Is that correct?
I can't really see it, but yeah, we're paying about 1,400 a month, principal and all for the interest only though.
Okay, so this has 1289 with insurance of $50 a month, taxes 200, miscellaneous for utilities and maintenance. I got your closing costs at 1900 because I know that you had to pay some additional um, lender fees and processing fees with the hard money company.
Yeah.
Um, there's your points that you paid. Your closing costs are roughly 1% to sell. And now realtor's commission, I put only 3% for your buyer's agent because I know your wife is an agent and she
Yeah.
listed the property. So that's why I put that as 3%. And yes, like you are saving some money um, to your advantage because of that. And some investors will ask, whether or not they should do a flat fee listing or pay an agent the full 3%, which in this case would have been cost you guys 6%, have been $7,000, of course, less profit. So my thing on that is like, it depends on the price point, and it depends on the market. So now we're in a seller's market, not a lot of inventory, not as nearly as much competition as years of the past. So I believe that in a lot of markets, go ahead and use a flat fee listing, which can be anywhere from $100 to $300, $400, and let the market sell the property. Let your photography sell the property. I'm a big proponent of using professional photography and pictures when you do a listing, though. That's my only thing is whenever you either hire an agent or you do a flat fee listing, make sure that you use professional photography because it can make a huge difference in the listing online. And yeah, man, it looks like you're going to come out with, I guess, somewhere right above $20,000 profit in about 2.5 months. So pretty freaking
Yeah.
awesome, man. It's a good job.
Yeah, it worked out much better this time than the first time around. Where we didn't use you guys, we
For
made
the
some
rehab.
mistakes on that. Yeah, we didn't use Investment Pro for the rehab on that one.
Huge mistake. Huge mistake, bro. Come on.
Had to learn that one the hard way.
Well,
As many do.
so the positive focus is some of our best clients and investors who are clients who work with us for a while, and then they go use someone else for the rehab stuff, and they get they get the contractor blues, and they get that kind of stuff will happen.
Yeah.
They come back, best customers ever.
Yep. Yep.
So, anyways, man, well, enjoyed working with you, and I really appreciate you. Well, to be honest, Chris, we need to be honest here, man. You and I don't think put very much time onto this deal at all. How much time did you actually put into this house, and have you even seen the house? I guess.
Uh, it's been a couple weeks since I've been over there. Kind of just looking at the 17th on the calendar. I went over there right before we closed it. I didn't see it when we bought it. My wife walked it and said, "Yeah, let's buy it." And then I've been over there twice since.
Then he went to Italy.
So, and then you went like on a month trip to Italy and France. So,
Chris had things handled. We'll just say that.
yeah. So, if you had to add up your total hours spent working on this flip deal, well, how many hours do you think that computer time, analyzing, looking at comps? You can even add this webinar time.
A 4 hour. I mean, nothing. It's like negligible. It's pretty thin compared to some of the other deals I've done. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Less
So,
than 5. There's no way I spent 5 hours.
all right. And then, so what do you think Christy's time? Has she had a lot more involvement with it or slightly more?
I mean, whatever time you want to say it takes to run comps, probably 3 times, like to make the initial decision, mid-project, and then to list it. However long it takes to list a deal, on HAR. So for the agents out there, they'd be able to answer that better than I would, but a few hours.
20, 30 minutes?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
So we'll say maybe she put in 10 hours total?
Uh, yeah, I think that'd be really high.
All right, so you put in 10, or she put in 10, you put in 15, making around $22,000. Um,
Let's see where this is going.
let's see what this comes out at. Somewhere around $1,500 an hour. So I don't know how much you make at your job currently, but it definitely makes you wonder, like, why do I still work my job? So man, awesome job. Fist bump. Boom. Appreciate you just freaking kicking ass and doing the work, man, and getting out there and making it happen. Running the numbers, pulling the trigger, man, because so many people, the numbers will make sense, but they won't pull the trigger. They'll get the fear thing, the mental stuff. You didn't, man, so I appreciate it. Excited for you guys. Glad you took action, and even more so because you're part of the breakthrough event. And so, for you, any of you guys who are interested in coming down to the beach, Chris was a part of it, as well as these other the 8 men that are here. And it's just a time to we get down to the beach and we get real honest and real and raw, kind of where we're at in life and where we want to go and how we can combine some just some general life principles to get you guys fired up in your life with creating power in your faith and your family relationships with your wife and children, getting your body in shape through some just basic nutritional and exercise changes that you can implement, and doing all those things in order to create power in your real estate investing business. And we dive into the real estate stuff and teach you guys everything you need to know, all the 7 fundamentals of how to flip a house, how to rent a house, and that's what the beach event is about. If you're interested in kicking ass and taking names like Chris has done, check it out. If not, No worries. This is not a sales pitch, but I just want to bring that up because it's what I believe in. I love the beach event, and I love my beach brothers who do the work, go out, kick ass, take names, make a lot of money, improve their life, and just do it, man. So I promised everyone that we'd be done before the kickoff time. We got 7 minutes. Who are you going for, Texans or Cowboys?
Texans all the way.
And I grew up. I was born and raised in Dallas, and huge Cowboy fan. And then we moved to Houston my senior year in high school, and so I've lived in Houston now much longer than Dallas. So I am one of the few people I can actually be a Cowboys fan and a Texans fan. I'm a Texans fan though, man. Like
Yeah.
each year goes by, and I'm like, I'm a Texan, man. I'm Houston. I claim Houston now, so I'm going Texans, man. So,
All right. All right.
all right, man. Well, thanks for hopping on and
Yeah.
sharing everybody your success. And
Thanks for the shirt.
so, man, you are an Invest Home Pro, man. You're a full out member now, man. All right, buddy. Well, have a good rest of your day, and thanks for hopping on.
Awesome. Thanks, Brent. Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
See you.